Hello, folks. So I recently spoke about kids, fertility, pregnancies, and all that. I've heard really bad cases when it comes to being pregnant and all. For example, like I heard this one case of a friend's cousin, where the woman was actually traveling in a bus overnight, and she had some pain, and she had quite some pain in her stomach or like abdomen, I think, and back pain, I think, of such. And later, I think the woman reached the place where she wanted to reach after the travel, and then they went to the doctor and they realized that it's actually a fatal situation. The situation was this, right? There was a egg in her fallopian tube. I believe it was the fallopian tube. Yes. So what happened, right? Apparently, fertilized eggs, basically fertilized eggs, like eggs. I think after the sperm hits the or encounters an egg and then gets fertilized, it's a fertilized egg. It's supposed to be only present in the uterus for it to grow. It should not be present anywhere outside the uterus. So if it's present anywhere outside the uterus, it's actually a problem. You can go read about this online and anywhere you want, like books and all that. And how did this happen? Like, how did the egg end up in the fallopian tube? Apparently, there are many reasons for this, but I think the main reason in this case was because the woman was having a copper T. It's a pregnancy prevention method. Copper T in her uterus, right, inside her, and copper T is supposed to actually stop the sperm from fertilizing with the egg or something, from reaching the cervix. Something I read about it. And even if it fertilizes with the egg, it is possible that the egg, I think, does not reach the uterus. It ends up in the fallopian tube. Does it get what do you say, reflected or averted and whatnot? I don't know exactly what happens. I'm going to read more about it and probably talk more about it in a different video. But apparently copper T has this side effect, and this is apparently called ectopic pregnancy, ECTOC. Sorry, ECTO, ectopic PSE. So ECTO PSE, ectopic pregnancy, I believe, which is basically a pregnancy in which the egg, fertilized egg, implants or gets to a position outside the uterus, which can be anywhere apparently, but in this case it was the fallopian tube. I don't know where else it can go. And apparently, if the egg keeps growing in a fallopian tube, for example, it's actually fatal. It's problematic, and it's supposed to be removed immediately. And for this woman, it was removed after a surgery, and she was fortunately alive and safe and healthy and hale and healthy after this. And I believe they removed the copper T out of her. I think what apparently happened is the couple wanted to have sex even after, say, their first child or something. They had one kid and they wanted to have sex even after the first child. And I think I'm assuming that instead of doing family planning for the man, I think it's called, I forgot the name. I think it's called, I forgot the name, but basically you are supposed to do family planning for the man if you want to prevent a pregnancy. The other ways would be for the woman to have pills, say take some tablets, or for the woman to actually do some surgery or have something like copper T. In this case, the woman actually had copper T, and or else the man can wear something like, say, condoms and all that. But instead, the woman wore copper T. Like, she put copper T. I think the woman had a C-section. C-section surgery for her first child. So she had a surgery, and as part of the C-section, they actually inserted a copper T, placed it in her uterus. I think that's where they placed it, I think. And I mean, that caused problems. Looks like this is a popular issue with copper T, pregnancy prevention method. So it's a sad thing how pregnancy prevention methods cause problems for women when men can actually do safer methods. I think family planning for men is actually very safe wherein I think they cut some some nerve or something between the scrotum or something like that. So some surgery in the male reproductive system, which is basically the close to the penis. I think there is scrotum and then there is some balls and all that. Basically the place where sperms get generated and travel from there to the penis and then it goes out, right? I believe that that's a very very safe method compared to what I've heard from women and in general when I've read that that is very safe, men doing family planning compared to something like women taking pills, tablets, or women having like doing surgeries like say copper T, versus if the woman has to do abortion surgery, right? So yeah, I mean it's just bad stuff. And if if the woman is putting copper T in her, then it can have problems like this when the woman has sex and say the fertilized egg ends up in the fallopian tube, right? So it's a very very serious issue. I don't know how many people know this though. So if you're a woman or if you're a man or if you're someone who has a friend who is planning to actually put a copper T in her or do some similar stuff like take tablets, pills, and all, right? So ask her to not do it. Ask her to ask the man to actually just shut up and wear condoms. And if she doesn't feel safe with that, then the man has to just do family planning. This is assuming that it's a couple who have already married and have kids. And if they don't, then they just have to use something else. But taking pills is not a good idea, and having copper T, etc. is not a good idea for the woman. So the woman doesn't have to do anything, shouldn't have to do anything, must not do anything like this because it's very very dangerous, like I said. So it's very important for women to actually self-educate and be aware and be knowledgeable about this. So be aware, be careful about this, especially women who will actually face the consequences of this, because it can even be fatal and it can have really bad side effects, right? Taking pills and whatnot. So and things like this case of ectopic pregnancy being very fatal and all, just like be careful, very very careful about this. I would be very scared to do any surgery on myself. So I agree that men can be scared to do something like say family planning, but then that doesn't mean that they can ask the woman to do some surgery that can actually cause side effects for her, say something like this, say ectopic pregnancy and all, right? So I would be very very wary of doing surgeries and artificial procedures and whatnot, including even fertility treatments. It's very important to understand the side effects of water treatments and stuff that you do, say tablets you take, or surgeries that you do and whatnot, right? Or procedures and whatnot. So please understand the cons and side effects before you get into doing the procedure, before you even say yes or even consider it, right? And talk to the doctor and understand everything. Most doctors simply say it's safe and all that. Some doctors who are really good, I think they'll tell you what are the side effects. And other things, related to this, women generally do end up having, say, babies, and like basically they end up in an unexpected pregnancy a lot of times, which is why they actually take pills. For example, if it's like a like say premarital sex and whatnot, they had sex and they forgot, or the man didn't agree to wear a condom, but the woman actually agreed to be okay with it and whatnot. Very very bad idea. And this is even true even if it's not premarital sex and whatnot, even if it is like after marriage sex and whatnot, doesn't matter premarital or after marriage. Basically, if the woman does not want to have a kid and does not want to get pregnant, she has to ensure this. I understand that it's the responsibility of the woman and the man, but then men, a lot of times I have heard that men are actually very selfish. They want to have unprotected sex, they want to not use condoms, they want to apparently feel a lot of pleasure and whatnot. So and they feel that wearing a condom does not give them that pleasure. But the reality is, I think there's not so much difference in pleasure. from what I have read from people, women and even men, I think. So I mean, I think men would rather want to have sex without having kids. Most men would want that, I think, unless the man wants to ruin the woman's life by giving her a kid and making her like, or forcing her to be with him or something of that sorts, which is very very evil, cruel, and manipulative of sorts. Or they just want to ruin the woman's life by just giving her a kid and sort, like, and stuff. So and in that case the woman has to then end up in considering, say, abortion or taking pills the next day after having sex and whatnot, something called after morning pills or something, or after sex pills. I don't know what is it called, but I've seen it in movies and I've heard about it. So these have very bad effects, right? And then some people, some men might say stuff like, I'll pull out just at the right time and whatnot. Women, please don't believe all that. Yeah, it is true that you can pull out and all, but a lot of things can go wrong. I understand that many men might have a lot of confidence in their abilities to pull out when they're having sex, to pull out before the climax and all that, and not wear condom and whatnot. But then, even by mistake or by chance, by hook or crook, or intentionally by the man or whatever, right? If it happens, if the sperm gets out and it reaches your womb, like, and it reaches your eggs, then it's a problem for you, women. So women, be careful, be aware. So be aware of what can go wrong, and a lot of things can go wrong. So be very very aware, beware of men, and what men can do intentionally or unintentionally, out of stupidity, out of ignorance, right? But you don't have to be ignorant, and you have real consequences, though one could say that even the man has consequences, even if the man is responsible. But then lot of men are cowards. They will run away, they will say it's not their child, and what stupidity, I don't know what they'll do. I don't know how many men will say, okay, I'll marry you and whatnot. And I don't know how many women even want that. Like, just because you have an unexpected pregnancy does not mean you end up marrying the person, having the kid and whatnot. Instead, you could also consider not having the kid, not marrying the person, and just living your life just the way you were before having sex with him. So I mean, it's very very important for women and even men to be mindful and aware, be aware and beware and be careful about what they're doing, what kind of actions they're involving themselves in. And if they're having sex, they're having safe sex, it's protected sex, and you wear condoms and you're very very careful about what you're doing, right? And you don't end up getting some diseases, say sexually transmitted diseases, and you don't end up getting pregnant, right? And you don't end up in a situation where you have to consider abortion or taking pills and whatnot, right? So yeah, I mean, because in today's world, a lot of nations are already considering and changing their laws. Let's say before, if abortion was legal, some countries are starting to consider abortion to be illegal, and they're starting to pass those kind of bills. So keeping the idea of like, is abortion legal or illegal in different places, and is it fine or fair for it to be legal or illegal, I think it's important to allow abortion, and it should be legal. Also, why? Because it's not just about the woman's freedom to choose, because the woman only has to have that kid for 9 months. And I understand that a lot of people will say it's illegal to kill a child, it's a life, it's illegal to kill a life and whatnot. There are a lot of science behind this. If a fetus, when a fetus becomes life and gets its life, when an egg fetus becomes a proper life and whatnot, till when can you abort? And there is also biology for, first of all, till when can you abort, after which you can't really abort, because it can also be, I think, problematic and very very complex to actually abort after some time, say after a few months, 2-3 months or something like that, right? So there's also this thing about why you should allow women to be able to abort, because apparently when women actually are forced to have kids, when they want to actually not have the kid, when they want to abort, the problem is apparently these kids will be born, and the mom will not want to actually have those kids, but she will be forced to have those kids. And when these kids are born, the mom will not want to actually take care of those kids, right? And when this kind of stuff happens, it is possible that the kid will end up in an environment and in a situation that is bad for the kid. For example, I think there is research around this. I can't remember the exact details. I'll probably talk about this in a different video. But apparently, if let's say you make abortion illegal, let's say today, and you ensure that abortions never happen at all as much as possible. After say 15-20 years, you will actually find a lot of children that are actually getting into crime at the age of 15 and 20, right? After 15-20 years, these are children who were born because of unexpected pregnancies, whose mothers were not allowed to have abortion, right? Because it was illegal, or they didn't have the money and such, like any kind of reason. But if it's made as illegal, then that is probably the main reason, right? And of course, abortion is also very it's a surgery, right? It can also be problematic and complex, I think, depending on the situation. I don't know how. I'm not a doctor, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, imagine that. Like, then you're basically, it's not just about the woman's freedom, it's about the world's safety. Now you are actually creating a group of kids who are going to be raised by moms who didn't want kids. Maybe those moms will not be even be interested in having those kids. Probably they'll send them to orphanages or abandon those kids and whatnot. And these kids basically, or these kids will be raised by moms that didn't want kids, and that the kids were born out of like an unexpected pregnancy, right? And they were unexpected kids, so the mom could have actually had a lot of rage and anger probably on those kids. Who knows? I don't know. And I don't know what will be the mindset and mental health state of this mom who actually has had a unexpected pregnancy and has had to raise a child, probably with the father or without the father, right? And what will be the state of this child who was born in such a situation and environment, right? So it's actually a very big problem, and not just one woman's or a few women's problem or many women's problem. It will also be the world's and the community's problem when you are actually making abortion illegal, especially when you think from this point of view. And there is research around this. There is, a lot of valid points around this. There is, I think, data around this. You can go check it out. I'll also try to actually bring it up. And a lot of people literally talk about this, about crime rate and abortion being legal and illegal, and making abortion illegal and or preventing abortion, say, by making it illegal, and how it relates to and is related to crime rates, right? And yeah, I mean, also understand that a lot of times, say, women, for example, the woman, basically you could say, why did the woman even have sex? But the reality is probably the woman was raped, right? And what does rape mean? It is non-consensual. She didn't want to have sex. And it's also very possible that initially the woman wanted to have sex, but the moment the sex started, she probably didn't want it, but then the man probably forced her, right? So it is even then non-consensual sex, and it is still rape, and it is still an unexpected pregnancy for the woman, right? It's unexpected sex, unexpected pregnancy, and unexpected, kids and whatnot, right? So a consensual sex can become non-consensual sex anytime during the sex, right? When the woman says stop, the man has to stop. And when that doesn't happen, it causes a lot of problems, right? So, and rape can happen even after marriage, marital rape and all, right? And there are laws around marital rape, and there is physical abuse and whatnot, right? Even within marriages and even outside marriages and whatnot. Like, even if two people are not married, there is physical abuse, rape and whatnot, right? So a lot of problems can happen. So you have no idea why a woman is having abortion. Most probably she's aborting not because of some stupid reason that you probably think of. She's just aborting because she just doesn't want to have the kid, and it can be due to various reasons. Non-consensual sex, she doesn't have the money to raise a child, she is not in the maturity to raise a child. For example, if she's 15 and she got raped, or if she's 15, if the woman is 15, she's a child, right? And she had sex, unprotected sex, but she was she, what do you say, she could have children, as in, like, at the age of 15 she probably hit puberty already, so she had, and she had sex, and that caused her to become pregnant. There are cases where school children get pregnant, which is basically before 18. You can't basically expect kids, before, like, kids to have kids, right? That doesn't make sense. So of course, a lot of times the woman, the kid, will actually decide to not have the kid because of, say, financial reasons, or the kid, like, the person thinks, I'm not mature, I'm still 15, I'm still 18, I'm still 20, I'm not mature enough to raise another kid, I have mental health issues. For example, there are people who are very scared that they have health issues that they will actually pass on to their kids, genetical, because a lot of health issues can pass through genes, say diabetes, say anything, right? Even mental health issues, a lot of people are scared that if they have, for example, if they have bipolar disorder, will my child get bipolar disorder? They think about that before having the kid. Now if they have an unexpected suddenly pregnancy and they have bipolar disorder, and they haven't even still decided if they want to have kids or not, and what is the consequence of their kid having bipolar disorder or not, and if they would want that or not, like, you really can't choose if the child will get it or not, of course, but at least the parent has to come to terms to the fact that the child may get it, and be able to support the child and whatnot, right? Financially, mentally, emotionally, and all that. But then even before that, if you have an unexpected pregnancy, you would want to abort, right? So it is basically the person's own choice. They have the freedom to actually abort, and for various reasons, like I said. But then if you stop them from aborting, it's actually going to be a big problem, like I said, for them, and even for the community. And it'll just cause a lot of repercussions, and it's a ripple effect. It'll cause a big ripple effect from the person to the family of the person to the friends, the relatives, the community, and whatnot. It causes a ripple effect, and it'll cause problems for different people. So it's important to understand the different problems that can happen when it comes to pregnancies and fertility and whatnot, and the whole set of things about preventing pregnancies, and the whole set of ideas about abortion, and also people opposing abortion, making it illegal and whatnot. So I think it's important to be aware and beware and be careful about, first of all, having unprotected sex, and then being aware and being aware and beware of, like, the whole set of things about how to prevent pregnancies, and not you first of all basically ask the man to wear condoms and ask the man to do stuff, and try not to do stuff like wearing copper T and whatnot, or taking pills and all that, and try not to end up in a situation where you have to do an abortion, right? Just be careful, pass this on knowledge, and ask more people to learn about this, research about this, because this is just like not even one person, not even like 0.00001% of what is out there. I just know very little, but it's important for people to learn, understand, be aware, and be careful, and share this knowledge to more people, and understand that these are some serious things, and no one should take it lightly. And parents should actually educate their kids about the bad problems of, like, unprotected sex, and educate kids about sex, and even schools should do it. But I think ideally just parents and adults raising kids should do it, because I think in today's day and era we are expecting schools to do so much stuff: sex education, financial education, this, like, you can't teach everything at school, but these are some important things, because once this happens, like, once some things happen, you can't undo it very easily. But of course you can fix it, but even fixing is actually complex and sometimes problematic. It's way better to prevent some issues than try to cure them. So prevention is better than cure. That's all I had for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.